I will accept one from opening opposition before 6, but please not verbal.
Physical.
Respect my consent.
Only the pilot.
Well, that's response right there.
I'll start in 3 questions I'm going to answer in my speech. 1, why proxy wars make things worse and why only direct intervention can prevent spillover. 2, why only CG preventing global spillover and refugee crisis and why this is the most important, certain and significant benefit. Lastly, respond to CEO in regard how most likely the internal anger and also his constituent of US will be angry. First question then, directly respond to closing opposition. 4 responses to this. 1, I think the comparative closing opposition is not doing nothing, but most likely like what opening opposition do, because closing opposition never explain why the comparative is indeed unlike what OO, because they need to do and explain why the right comparatives do nothing unless they will backlash opening opposition. So the first response is the comparative is proxy war and it's just as costly but with zero result. Because when they say that, wow, we don't want direct Western intervention because our voters can see money and troops abroad. But let's realize that proxy war also burns the same money. You still pay for aid, for weapons, logistics, just through third party. So your citizens are still angry, your tax money is still gone, but unlike direct intervention, you don't even get a peace, ceasefire or any measurable success. Therefore, I think it's even worse the backlash that government get. Proxy war lasts longer, create more instability and never reach closer. So if your justification is domestic anger, that logic is at best symmetrical or even worse in your surround house because they spend the same cost for zero outcome. But second response, I think it's a lie that Trump's administration was anti-intervention. Because when Trump's agenda is literally represent pacifism, for example, by saying that we need to beat China, we need to beat Russia. He promised stronger interventionism through their policy and also their campaign in the past. That's why he can beat Joe Biden just in the different form. His campaign literally sold the idea of America first and not isolationism, but America dominates globally. He wants to challenge China and Russia not only economically but also ideologically. That includes engaging directly in regions like the Sahel or the Middle East to show strength that US is still relevant, for example. So blaming this as a Trump's war is historically false and factually false because even under Trump, direct engagement was a strategic promise, not some moral failure of democracy that not even characterized by kind of constituent that closing opposition even talk about. But third response, if the US is not the one leading, someone was will in closing opposition. Because let's be real, if the US doesn't lead, it's not that the world becomes suddenly peaceful and people don't get angry at all. It's the another superpower that takes its place. That somebody else is not the benevolent peacekeeper like what happened with China that suddenly starting to do direct intervention in South China Sea, for example. Actors who are probably more authoritarian or less accountable, for example, far more brutal in how they export power and also do direct intervention. So even if you hate Trump, the vacuum left by a non-interventionist West will be filled by power that are more evil, more unstable, and more insane compared to Trump. You don't reduce global suffering by removing the US, you just invite worse player, another global superpower that probably worse to help battle against Russia. But last response, the West is not just US, and other Western actors have stabilizing incentive to also do the same things. Because we reject the idea that only US who most likely did this, because even I'll never explain why it's only US. Because the Western-led democracy is a coalition project and not one man's ego. Like it includes EU, UK, NATO, that even include Turkey, for example, and partner who have strong humanitarian and security incentive to act responsibly, for example. So there's still European control, European in particular that care about refugee control, threat stability, and other things that's probably populist by the people. So they are not blindly following US populism and also Trump insane incentive. So dismissing the entire Western order by just simplifying that Western is US is quite simplistic. That if KRL want to change by saying that, oh no, we want all, it's quite late, it's late in their side. I'm not late because KRL still can respond to my speech. But that's why, next to my second part of my speech, talking about why proxy war is going to be worse in the other side of the house. Because proxy might sound safer and cheaper, but actually it usually makes the conflict more chaotic and dangerous. Say for response to side opening opposition. Well, proxy wars fund the most radical group. This is directly answer why casualties at best if we want to see this as a matrix even worse in the rest of the house. Because when Western countries want to support democracy, they usually don't know the local context very well. So they give support to whoever looks powerful or active on the ground, which is usually the biggest and most violent groups that exist in that nation. The problem is these groups are often the most extreme or radical. Moderate groups are smaller and less visible, so they get ignored and not get funded. That means after the war ends, the radical factor become the new rulers. That's actually what happened in Afghanistan, for example, where the US support the Mujahideen and later those groups turn into the Taliban. But second response, I think directly control what the rebels do, once the weapons and money are given, the proxy can act however they want, sometimes even against Western interests, because you cannot always supervise what happens 24/7. In grassroots, they might attack civilians, violate human rights, or start new local wars that even worse because you cannot hold them accountable. War crime can happen in both sides regards who is the actor. But at least when the Western troops that did that, you can hold them accountable. The West cannot stop them because it has no command chain. This creates a big moral hazard in the rest of the house. But third response, it affects post-conflict transition to democracy. Because proxy war inherently don't build real government or stable institution in the long run. They only create strong militia and short-term benefit. When the conflict ends, this militia have guts but no idea how to govern properly. So they fight each other for power. We should govern the new government, for example, and the country collapses in that side of the house. Because when the greater evil topple down, the lesser evil becoming the greater evil. This is what happened in Libya when NATO removed Gaddafi, but because there is no direct follow-up, Libya fell into years of military fighting and stability again. So instead of peace in the side of the house, the long-term harm will exist. So right now, the burden of Sekat and Elgar that they failed to answer, by the way, is why after the proxy war success, the stability will occur. Never been answered. Haha. What is the comparative? Why direct intervention is better? One, control military operations. Second, protect civilian. Thirdly, help rebuild the government properly, long-term and also accountable. And lastly, stop radical from taking the power before victim of power. No, I love you. Sorry. Lastly, why only CG preventing global spillover and refugee crisis, and why this is the most important benefit? First, structural reasons. Why? Geographic stability. Because you know, in context like Sahel, stretch from Senegal to Sudan, is really big, it's really long, open region with weak border and no natural barrier. This makes it very easy for militant, weapons, and refugees to move across country. We already saw this happen after Libya collapsed in 2011, I guess. Weapons from Gaddafi army spread into Mali until today. Without external intervention, the same pattern will repeat. One failed state infects another. But secondly, economic and political chain reaction. Because refugee flows don't stop at borders. Once millions move nearby, countries must provide food, shelter, jobs, things they already lack to begin with. When domestic citizens see the government helping refugees instead of them, it causes even bigger anger like closing operation Toju and political tension. Especially when there is a rising of nationalism, far-right political party from Germany and France that literally happen inside of EU. This pressure can trigger new coups or ethnic violence in other fragile states. That's exactly what happened with Syria, for example, when they go to Lebanon and Turkey, for example, they create a rise of far-right party and Brexit sentiment. But lastly, migration to Europe and global security trade that even worse in the side of the house, because once you fail to protect the spillover, for example, the harm trickle down to other nations. There's probably still in Africa or even worse in EU, for example. We don't want that to happen. Under our side, we prevent those things with.